In this video, I'm going to give you 6 tips I use when riding at night. So hang tight. Hey guys, I'm Paul the Motor Guy, and welcome to my channel, where I pass on riding tips, practice drills, and defensive riding strategies. Now, I'm a rider coach, a motorcycle sergeant, and owner and instructor at ProRider Central Texas. Now, if you're interested in supporting my channel, you can do so by hitting the join button below to see all the wonderful perks. As we all know, riding at night can be another animal in itself. Now, I know that many of you choose not to ride at night, and that's okay. But what if there are times when you're forced to? Now, when I go into work in the morning, it's still dark outside. And there's some things that I work that are during nighttime hours. So for those that ride at night or in the dark, I want to give you some tips that I use. The first tip is you have to adjust your speeds. Now, as we all know, when it's dark outside, we have limited sight. So it's very important that you don't override your headlights, which simply means riding too fast to be able to stop in the distance lit by your headlights. So if something were to happen, you should be able to stop inside the illuminated area in front of you. Now, if I'm riding on the road that I've never been on before, I will reduce my speed even more. Now, when riding at night, the vehicle headlights look distorted, like in this next photo. Now, this presents 2 challenges. The first being that if the vehicle is traveling towards you, it can be hard to tell if the vehicle is in your lane. Now, this next video will show what this looks like. As you can see, it was difficult to see which lane the vehicle was in from a distance. Now, it wasn't until the vehicle got closer to me till I could actually be sure which lane he was in. Now, this will be even harder to tell if you're going through a curve. So tip number 2 is you may want to adjust your lane positioning. So if I'm riding on a 2-lane roadway where there is a lane in each direction, I will move to the right of the lane. Now, by doing this, it will give me a buffer between me and the vehicles, which will give me more time to react. Now, if I was riding on a road that had 2 lanes going in my direction, and if I was riding in the inside lane, sometimes I would move to the right of the lane. Again, to give myself a buffer and increase my reaction time, the same as I would if I was riding on a 2-lane roadway. This next video will show how much space I gain. Now, there are times when I would just move over to the right lane, depending on traffic and if I'm not going to have to make a left turn for a while. Now, tip number 3 is take more time to clear the lane next to you before making your lane changes, because you have the same problems with vehicles' headlights when they're driving behind you. As you can see, the vehicle's lights are distorted and they blend together. Now, this really affects your depth perception, which makes it hard to see just how close vehicles are next to you when you're making your lane changes. So when I'm riding at night, I really take my time to make sure there's enough space for me to change lanes. Now, tip number 4 is pay attention to the vehicles ahead of you. Now, I do this even in the daytime, but I really pay attention at night because the vehicles are in an area that is beyond my headlights and my view. So I'm using the vehicles in front of me to give me any type of clues that something is going on up ahead. So what I'm looking for are brake lights, vehicles swerving, or changing lanes abruptly. Now, here's an example. One morning I was on my way to work. And now, as I said before, it's always dark when I'm heading in. Now, I was on a high-speed roadway and there's 3 lanes, and I was traveling in the middle lane. Now, up ahead of me, there was an 18-wheeler, I would say probably about 12 seconds ahead of me. And as I'm riding, I noticed that he does this in this lane. Just a little bit of a swerve. Now, that's really not that uncommon for 18-wheelers to do that. But something told me, you know what? I think I'm going to change lanes. So I switched lanes to the left. Now, as I got up to the area, I noticed there was something big and black that was in the center lane. Now, I wanted to share that because that's a good example of what I mean by using vehicles ahead of you to give you any type of indication that there's something wrong. Now, I also use the headlights of the vehicles in front of me to see if there's any hazards in the roadway that I might be able to see. Now, this next photo will demonstrate what I mean. Okay, so tip number 5 is use your high beams whenever possible. Now, by doing this, you will add light to the road and increase your distance you're able to see. Now, tip number 6 is if there's a vehicle traveling towards you and they have bright lights, do not stare at the headlights because this will mess up your night vision. Now, if I'm riding at night on the weekend, especially later into the night, I am actively on the lookout for intoxicated drivers. Now, the later it gets, your chances on encountering an intoxicated driver increases. Now, these were some things that I do when I ride at night. Now, we all have our own experiences, so let me know in the comment section below if you ride at night and any techniques that you use. And if you found value in this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Now, until next time, practice, 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 and ride safe.